Hello Kingdom fans, welcome back to All About Kingdom from the Translator's Break. And let me just say, despite chapter 848 being a chapter with zero action, we do get some serious Eiichiro Oda tier foreshadowing set in place for the possible plot twists in the future for Zhao and its politicians. Between the schemes of the king's kiss-ass underlings, Riboku walking into the wolf's den, if only for a few moments, and possibly some character growth thanks to a shocking realization by the disgusting King Sen of Zhao. All this and more coming up in the video. But as always Kingdom fans, before we get into it, if you enjoy this channel and its content, remember to smash that like button down below, and while you're down there you should hit that subscribe button with that notification bell so you can stay up to date with the channel and all things Kingdom, because we are coming into what may very well be the greatest arc in the entire series and you will not want to miss a single moment of it. Now, the chapter starts off with Kakukai and his subordinates gorging themselves with luxury food while they scheme of ways to remain in power after this war and wait for Riboku to arrive in Kantan before the war officially begins. They want Riboku to succeed in the battle but also to die, because they know if he wins and survives, they shall lose not just their power in the court, but more than likely they will lose their heads. Now, if Riboku is defeated by Zhao, not only will Kantan come under siege and eventually be conquered, they will have nowhere to run to. Now, Kakukai has planted a spy within Riboku's camp named Yuka, who is also a kin spy under the command of Rishi, by the way. But so he is a triple or quadruple spy, I'm not really sure, but he's at least a triple spy. And Kakukai commands him to find Riboku's weakness so that he can take advantage of him need be. But naturally, we know Riboku's allies, whose loyalty is without question, keeps outsiders at a long distance, especially if they are from the Zhao capital, because they know that odds are that person is a spy. Then we shift to King Sen in the middle of his disgusting habit of torture and mutilation of people with some fellow sick-minded associates. I will skip over what they are doing because I find these types of panels pointless to talk about, and besides, we all know that Sen is a sick-minded fuck. Pardon my language. And so we come to one of the most interesting parts of the chapter, where Sen goes to witness Riboku's arrival to the capital in Kantan from the eastern gate. And it is from his high vantage where he witnesses something that not only stuns him into silence, but also sends a cold sweat down his face. I speak of course of Riboku coming into the capital and receiving from the people what he has never gotten: love, admiration, and actual genuine worship. While Sen has always received praise in only the sense that if he doesn't get it from you, you will be killed. Seeing how Riboku is truly loved by the people made him realize that while he may sit on the throne and wear the crown, he is a king in name only, while he then thinks Riboku is seen as the true king of the country, only for that point to be then said out loud by some Zhao citizen within earshot that were unaware of the king's presence, which led them to then being immediately murdered by being thrown off what looks to be at least a 3-story drop head first. Cutting then straight into Riboku's meeting with the king, we come to the real dramatic high tension moment in the chapter, and that is while Riboku is about to set off for the battlefield, King Sen stops him and gives him a royal command to strip in front of the whole royal court to show his loyalty to the throne. Pretty much the act of a child trying to show his dominance when he is under threat. It's truly pathetic, but at the same time, we can understand it. Sen is someone who has never been told no before in his life and knows public humiliation is the best way to show his power. Imagine Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones, where she had to walk the streets in her birthday suit as a form of punishment or redemption or something like that. My point is, essentially King Sen is doing the same thing, but just in the royal court. And for the record, to me, these last 3 pages of the chapter is just pure literary art. I don't know if that's the right word or the right term for it, but it's just fantastic writing. Riboku, of course, refuses this royal command, saying this isn't the palace where you indulge in your amusements. And Sen surprisingly doesn't act out and demands Riboku's head to be cut off, which is what would happen to literally anyone else in that situation even the king's right-hand man Kakukai. Instead, Riboku then goes on to say that admonishing Sen is for his own benefit. Instead of surrounding himself with a bunch of yes men and ass kissers, Sen should have subordinates that, while loyal, should also speak the truth to him even if they disagree. Which leads the king to have what may truly be his first human moment in the whole series, where he states, "You should know, Riboku, that there are people for whom ordinary things are not so simple." Now this leaves Riboku in a state of shock for a moment, and in truth I was stunned myself. This is actually a very true thing. Even in the real world for us, we can all think of examples of this. What's normal for some isn't normal for others. What comes easily to some comes harder to others. I know we all got one example in our heads right now. Anyway, back to the chapter. Then Sen even goes on to kind of apologize to Riboku without admitting what he said was wrong, which is just such a politician's answer. They're admitting fault without actually taking fault or blame for what they said. And I actually laughed when I read it because it was fucking hilarious. After which, King Sen said how he never really knew his father and hardly ever saw him or how a king should act, which leads Riboku to offering to teach him how to be a proper king, after he confidently states he will repel the Qin army. And while Sen laughs it off and says no, you can tell he truly considers it, and then orders Kakukai to give Riboku an extra 50,000 soldiers from the royal capital, which is supposedly half the forces stationed in Kantan. This then sends the manipulative Kakukai into a state of panic, knowing he will most assuredly lose the king's favor were Riboku to return. And then at the end of the chapter, we see Yuka standing off in the corner in deep thought about the shocking situation he just witnessed, and probably how he should report it to Qin ASAP. And so yeah, that's the chapter. And like I said at the beginning, this wasn't action-packed, but god damn if it didn't give us a lot to think about and discuss. Starting off with the biggest thing, is King Sen saying he is the way he is because it is what his father did and he did for his father's attention, and then he just ended up to keep doing it even after his father died? Is he really so messed up because he has daddy issues of all things? Surely that cannot be it, but it is definitely coming off that way, at least it is to me. And now that Riboku has finally come out and straight up defied Sen and telling him how he should behave, which is what a father does, he is now seeing Riboku as a possible father figure and wants to be shown how to properly act as a king so he can get the people's love and admiration, and so that he can maybe finally feel something in his dead black heart. Or maybe I'm just completely misreading the situation and he just wants to learn Riboku's methods and then execute him, which will actually be a very plausible thing if he did repel the Qin forces, because Qin would no longer have a force strong enough to come after Zhao, and then they actually might lose Han territory, and like Chu and Wei will definitely take advantage of that and invade Qin. So if they just had like a off the books execution saying, Riboku returns north to Ganmon and he's just ruling there now, no one might hear anything from him again, and no one would dare invade Zhao because they have a sleeping tiger in the north and Shibashu in the east as well, which is, I don't know, the dragon of the east or the stallion of the east or something like that. But I ramble on. Anyway, then we come to Kakukai and his underling schemes with the war and Riboku from the start of the chapter. Like I mentioned earlier, they want him to succeed and also to fail. I can see them doing two things before the end of this war. The first being, if Riboku is successful, they will do whatever it takes to have him killed before he returns to Kantan. Second, under the presumption Riboku was defeated and Kantan became surrounded by Qin, in an effort to save themselves and fearing Ace because of how they treated him as a boy, instead of fleeing, they would betray the King Sen, kill him, behead him, and surrender the Zhao capital to Kantan, presenting his head as a form of surrender in hopes of saving their own asses. Besides, if Riboku was triumphant and returned to Kantan to mentor Sen, then they would probably be dead within a week, if not a day, and at the very least be thrown into prison and labelled a traitor to the kingdom, just as Kakukai did to Riboku only a few years before that. And the biggest difference is, nobody will come to save him, and he knows it. And for the final point, I want to talk about Riboku's return to Kantan. Now, King Sen thinks Riboku could be the king of the country, and judging by the people of Kantan's reaction to Riboku's arrival, I can't help but think back to the coalition invasion where Sei inspires the people of Sai to fight alongside him. Riboku, just like Sei, had people offering up their lives to him in service. It must have been a truly painful sight for Sen to witness, because Riboku is just radiating aura right now. He is truly the king without a throne, but in a good way. More importantly, I want to talk about the fact that Riboku came through the East Gate, because to me, that is far more fascinating than Riboku having more aura than his own king. Just day before he arrived in Kantan, he was in Buon to the west of Kantan, and yet arrived through the East Gate. To me, this implies that after the assembly of generals in Buon had concluded, he went east, presumably with Shibashu and his forces, to make sure that they knew the plan, to have final words with Shibashu, or to confirm the ideal and most advantageous areas for combat. Because as we know, Riboku loves to scout and find the best places to wage his wars and to execute his plans. And I got a dozen other possible reasons in my head. As you know, when it comes to Riboku schemes, he leaves no detail unconsidered. I could be wrong, but I am definitely seeing a plot in the future of some sick trick Riboku made on the battlefield east of the capital. But it's like I said at the start, Hara is dropping some serious foreshadowing for the future of Zhao, and while we may not see any developments on it for a while, the groundwork has officially and definitely been made for some major changes in the Zhao court. And so Kingdom fans, I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this chapter. Am I overthinking things, or am I dead on? Drop a comment down below. I want to hear some people's opinions, and while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with the manga and plenty more Kingdom content.